commissioning team, organisation, recruitment and training. The size of the commissioning team is going to depend on the size and complexity of the project. Experienced engineers must be recruited in sufficient numbers so that the dates in the project schedule can be adhered to. Depending on the commissioning strategy and on the basis of technical ability, lead commissioning engineers may either be assigned specific subsystems and systems to effectively own and manage, supported as required by other commissioning engineers in the team. Or the lead commissioning engineers may syndicate their skills to work on the commissioning of each system. Whichever method is deployed, there will always be a lead person responsible at any given time during the actual commissioning of a system. Spread evenly over the project duration, the lead commissioning engineers will probably have several subsystems and systems assigned to them and be responsible for procedure development, design reviews with engineering, HAZOPs, coordination with procurement through FAT activities. In addition, the team will be monitoring preservations and checks performed during construction and commissioning until eventual handover to operations, along with producing all supporting documentation in the turnover completions packages. It will be the commissioning manager's responsibility to ensure that there is the correct blend of skill sets in the commissioning team, as well as sufficient resources. Typically, and depending on the specifics of the industry, the project and its processes, engineers and technicians of electrical, instrumentation and controls, mechanical, including rotating equipment, and process disciplines will be needed. All engineers should have operations experience. On many projects, it is normal for operations to supplement the commissioning team with engineers and technicians from production and maintenance departments. This will serve the interests of the commissioning team, fulfilling objectives while also providing valuable training for the engineers and technicians from operations in how the plant is started up, shut down and will operate. Commissioning manager reporting to the project manager with overall responsibility for all commissioning and startup activities through to closeout. He or she will liaise closely with peers in construction and operations and all key stakeholders. The Deputy Commissioning Manager. He or she will report to the Commissioning Manager with delegated responsibility for assigned commissioning and startup activities through to closeout. Will be closely involved in the hands-on coordination of activities with the commissioning team when the Commissioning Manager is engaged with project meetings, other politics, etc. Lead Commissioning Engineer. The leads will report to the commissioning manager with responsibility for all activities through the completions pyramid for commissioning and startup of specific systems. The leads will supervise engineers and technicians, providing assistance as needed. They will coordinate with the discipline engineers and call for support when required. The leads may be required to develop system commissioning procedures, or at least to liaise with the procedure writing group within the team. The leads will have a hands-on role in the development, review and approval of system commissioning procedures nominated for their responsibility. The discipline engineers. These are the electrical, instrument and controls, mechanical and process engineers reporting to the commissioning manager and providing support to the leads. The turnover coordinators are supported by completions engineers, Zenator or SCDB power users and technical clerks working closely with construction and operations through all turnovers. The procedure writers. These will report to the commissioning manager and liaise closely with operations and the lead commissioning engineers in the development of system commissioning procedures. They will be responsible for the production of all system commissioning procedures, also known as operational test procedures or OTPs, as well as standard operating procedures. Trainers. The trainers will also report to the commissioning manager and liaise closely with operations in the development of classroom and on-the-job training of engineers and technicians from production and maintenance and new recruits. Auditing and gap analysis. The commissioning manager, with his or her team, will need to ensure all procedures and documentation required to commission and start up the plant on time and safely are in place. Periodic reviews and audits will be needed to understand and amend as necessary what exists, and a gap analysis must be performed to discover what doesn't yet exist. In the audit, you will review, understand and amend as necessary what exists. You'll compare the synchronous nature of the many procedures. You'll highlight gaps, inconsistencies, contradictions and overlaps. Look for touch points, interfaces, clear boundaries and definition of responsibilities. Gap analysis continued. Assess what is needed to commission and start up on time and safely. Look for what is missing, identify and action. As a guide, you will be looking for or seeking to produce the commissioning manual or commissioning plan, the project commissioning philosophy, the commissioning strategy, the mechanical completion manual. You'll be looking for the project schedule, the project reporting structure. You'll also want the factory acceptance testing or FAT procedure. Gap analysis guide continued. You'll be looking to find or produce the FAT, factory acceptance testing, scope and procedure with schedule. Also, the tag type matrix will need to be produced, sometimes known as the TTM, and identify all the check sheets that will be required. In addition, you'll need to be able to produce all the system commissioning procedures required, along with the standard operating procedures, or at least the first draft of these. You will look for the change management procedure, or the MOC procedure as it's known. You will also be looking for or seek to produce the punch listing procedure and the permit to work system. Finally, you'll be looking for the energization notice, the livening up notice, the electrical/mechanical inhibit or isolation procedure. Gap analysis continued. As a guide, ensure that you can produce or find the tie-in point procedure and that all tie-in points are shown on the relevant drawings. Find or produce the handover to operations procedure. Find or produce the handover from construction procedure. Likewise, find or produce the preservation procedure and vendor coordination procedure. Ensure you liaise very closely with QA group and incorporate all certifying authority and regulatory requirements in these processes.